Hello Mellow Fellows, it's Tara here, but my friends call me Topher. That may be a lie, but you'll never know. Total Drama Island is one of my favorite childhood shows. I was at one point a super fan of the show. Not like Sierra's super fan, but more of a casual super fan. There's so much to love about this series. The characters, the drama, the reality TV setting. Chris, because we all know he is really hot. Of course, the best part of this type of show is the ships. That's a no-brainer. Total Drama has given us so many great couples to love. They also given us couples that has given us nothing but stress. Today we'll be taking a look at couples who in my opinion doesn't work for the show. Some of these have nothing to do with the characters themselves. It mostly has to do with how well those ships serve the show. For example, I'm indifferent to Jeff and Bridget as characters. I like them, I guess. However, even though they're not my favorite, I do think that they're a good couple that makes sense. Their relationship has a storyline and a purpose for the show. Well, at least in like the first 3 seasons. Even if it's annoying because they make out like 80% of the time. This video is more so for couples that I feel were underutilized and didn't reach their potential. Some of these are in no way bad couples, but they could have been better. However, others are bad couples and deserve to be in the hottest seat in hell for what they put us through. Also, this is not in any particular order. That would be more stress than it's worth. So let's talk about it. This couple is the least offensive on this list, OWEN and IZZY. Now I think this might be a shock or controversial to even have on this list, but just let me explain myself. I love them as characters and I love them as couples. They are not at all a bad couple. OWEN even had a whole song dedicated to her. It's so sweet. It's just that as a couple, I don't think they were well developed. Half of the time I forgot they were even a couple until they randomly made out. We didn't have a ton of genuine cute couple moments from them. There just wasn't a lot for me to squeal over. Their relationship was cute but lukewarm at best. It was kind of giving schoolyard romance. However, they were cute together, so it's hard to root against them. They are the perfect oddball couple, but they didn't really get any screen time to shine or to showcase that. It just sucks how randomly their relationship ended too. Again, I don't have anything bad to say about them because I love them, so let's just move on. Now, this next one is Lindsay and Tyler. I'm not really sorry for this one. Again, this is probably controversial, but like I said, I don't really feel bad for this one. To be clear, I love Lindsay. Tyler is kind of to me. From the beginning of the relationship, it has been very surface level, which makes sense. They are both kind of shallow and simple-minded people. Lindsay more than Tyler, because Tyler actually genuinely likes her, even if she forgot about him in season 3. My problem with them specifically is because their relationship went nowhere. Neither one of their characters have grown really at all since the first season. Actually, I think both of them has gotten dumber as time went on. Both very funny characters, of course. However, as a couple, they were boring. The only notable couple moment I think is when she remembered his name in season 3, which was pretty funny and cute. To be fair, she didn't see him in season 2, and he does have a bit of a forgettable face. So I don't blame her for that one. But like I said, as a couple, they give me nothing but cardboard a lot of the times. Plain making out cardboard. They have the same kind of problem as Bridget and Jeff, how it's a lot of making out. They do have cute moments, but they're just, like I said, moments. Nothing notable, nothing big. It was just consistent flirting. I wish they would have given them some character development, or at the very least give Lindsay a more interesting love interest after Tyler. I'm not a fan also of 2 dumb people as a couple. It can be really funny or it can be really irritating. It just depends on the mood. There's usually like a 1 dumb person per relationship limit for me, but I mean they still find a way to make it work with Lindsay and Tyler, but I don't know. Sometimes it can be a little annoying. I just needed more from these 2 OGs. They gave me nothing to really fangirl over. They have cute moments, but nothing too substantial after season 1. They barely had any screen time as a couple, so I was never fully invested into their relationship. This couple isn't bad at all, especially for these other people on this list, but it wasn't well developed, so that's why I felt like I had to put them on the list or I would be disingenuous, Tyler does genuinely like her and vice versa, so I'm willing to give them more grace in this area. These 2 are some of the least offensive people on the list. Plus, they are cute together, so I want to give them a pass so bad. But like I said, I want to be honest. That's why they're on this list. Now, this next one I stand by. CODY and Sierra. Now, granted, I'm not sure they were ever an official couple, to be fair. Actually, I am sure they weren't ever an actual couple at all. However, I'm including them on this list because they took up a lot of screen time, and if I'm forced to watch them, I have a right to complain. Now, where to begin? I like both of their characters. I always liked CODY. I'm not sure why, but I do. And Sierra was a welcomed addition to the cast. The cast was severely lacking in darker skinned women or just women in color in general, so adding her in season 3 was nice to see as a kid. Also, a fangirl personality is exactly what the series needed. I liked having her in the show. However, her character is both annoying and problematic at times. Their whole relationship is just harassment against CODY. Now granted, CODY does have a history of harassment himself in season 1 with girls, especially with GWEN, so you could say this is his karma in a way, but the level of annoying harassments are on 2 different levels. CODY grew out of his bad habits and even gotten better as a person. He was not nearly as creepy in season 3 as he was in season 1. The only reason I'm giving him a pass in season 1 is season 1 in general was problematic. Don't get me wrong, I love season 1, however watching it in 2023 is cringy sometimes, especially with all the casual sexism and racism. Sierra, on the other hand, came out the gate with level 10 harassment. She has constantly invaded his privacy, space, and boundaries. She's always in his face, stealing his stuff, forcing kisses and hugs on him, being an overall creep. Like, who steals a toothbrush? And who is snorting up people's shoelaces? Only Sierra. It is the definition of SA. What's worse is the show expects us to feel bad for her when CODY snaps on her. I'd snap on her too if I'm constantly being groped by the internet stalker. The main reason I'm putting them on the list is that we had to deal with them and its annoying dynamic for an entire season. Plus, adding all the episodes she was on All Stars for. CODY wasn't in All Stars with her, but she talked about CODY non-stop, and she actually made it pretty far into season 5. She also harassed Cameron, thinking he was CODY, and adopted 2 little mole rat mutant thingies and named them CODY Juniors. So even though CODY wasn't present, in a way, their one-sided relationship was still haunting me. This dynamic would have been better if she grew out of her obsession, or if you want to go the more problematic route, you could have him at least return her feelings, have a little Stockholm syndrome going on there. Either way, they need to make up their minds. Either make them an official weird couple or put a stop to it. I personally prefer putting a stop to it. Either choice would help calm Sierra down as a character. I like her, but they just went overboard with her personality for way too long in the series. I was honestly sick of her by All Stars, and to be perfectly honest, I kind of wish that they would have replaced her character in All Stars with somebody else. Someone who probably deserved to be in All Stars more than Sierra, but that's just me. Speaking of problematic, this one hurts my heart. Harold and LESHAWNA. At first glance, you probably wouldn't understand what's so problematic about this couple. However, as a black woman, I could see the issues pretty clearly. The way LESHAWNA's character is written is pretty problematic by itself. While everyone else has personality stereotypes, hers is based off of a racial stereotype. I hate when people watch the show and they're like, everyone's based off of stereotypes, so you can't really get mad at LESHAWNA's stereotype. But there is a huge difference between everyone else's stereotypes being personality types that can fit on any race. Anybody could be the nerd, anybody could be the creepy goth girl, anybody could be the surfer girl, anybody could be the party dude. But LESHAWNA is the black woman homegirl archetype, and I honestly don't like it. It's not only that her character is based off of more racial stereotypes while everybody else has personality stereotypes. The way the other characters treat LESHAWNA is kind of awful. When I said season 1 had racist undertones, it mostly refers to how they speak on my homegirl LESHAWNA, making fun of how she talks, calling her loud, big, even though OWEN's also big, making fun of her afro in season 2. even though that didn't really make sense because half the time they're calling her hair weave. So which is it? Weave or natural? But of course, they never cared about the distinction. They were just making fun of her hair, whether it be natural or in a weave. And also that BS elimination she had in season 1 that everybody was mad at and absolutely made no sense. Yes, LeShawna is well liked in the competition and she's a fan favorite, but that doesn't mean that she was treated well in the show and by the writers. Not to mention that she was not written as a teenager like everybody else. She feels way older as a character. Just look at her nightgown. She is 15, 16 years old wearing lingerie. There's a lot more I could say about LeShawna specifically, but I wanted to make a separate video about LeShawna, and also another creator has already made a video about LeShawna, and I think that that's a good watch. To be clear, I love LeShawna, okay? When I was younger, I connected with her because she was the only black girl for the first 3 seasons. There are of course brown girls in the show, but a lot of them were racially ambiguous. Plus, there was a lot more black men on the show than there were black women in the competition. So I connected with her as a kid. Sierra and Courtney, while both being darker skinned women, are both ambiguous. So that's why I said that LeShawna is the only black woman who is confirmed to be a black woman on the show. So because she was a confirmed black woman, I felt connected to her as a kid. Also, my mom has always loved her when I was watching the show when she was an adult, so you know. But I can love LeShawna and how positively she has affected the lives of the girls who've watched her, but I can also acknowledge how bad her character was handled and how badly her character was kind of treated. I do think that Jasmine from Total Drama Pahkitew Island was handled way better because she was actually treated as a person. Too bad she was on my least favorite season. Honestly, I love Sean and Jasmine, and it's an improvement for black women, but that's for a different video. I can't get into it right now. I just can't get into it. I can't get into it. Now you might ask, what does it have to do with LeShawna and Harold? I'm glad you asked. First, before I start, I love Harold. He's actually one of my favorite characters in the show. He is the perfect blend of awful and sweet. He is truly a wild card. You never know if he's going to be a hero or a villain in an episode. However, when it comes to his relationship with LeShawna, I have some issues with it. To start off, Harold's first words to LeShawna is calling her big and loud. He literally insults her right off the yacht. Yes, it was more ignorance than malicious, but it's still not a great start. After this, they didn't interact much at all in season 1. To be honest, they barely talked. They were pretty much far away from each other. No flirting, no secret longing, or any indication that he has a crush whatsoever. There was no build up. Then out of nowhere, LeShawna gets a letter from a secret admirer. We don't know the full content of the letter, but LeShawna called him freaky, so maybe I don't want to know. LeShawna found out Harold wrote the letter once he was going home after being eliminated, and apparently she loved it. Even though she has shown no interest in him before, or anybody honestly, she loved it. So they shared a little kissy kiss and Harold left to go relax in a resort. We really missed out on any connection that could have happened between them, even as friends. It would have been cute to have little romantic moments or little points of longing here and there in season 1, or even some cute interactions or anything. A little flirting or something. Maybe if Harold would have been giving her notes for multiple episodes instead of just that one episode, it could have been a fun little mystery for the audience to solve. You know, who's giving LeShawna letters? Or it could have been on the flip side where we don't know who Harold is setting up gifts for. We just see him preparing it and we just see him, you know, laying out little cute stuff. It would have been cute to see some of these romantic interactions that was happening between them. Anything. Just give us some romance at least. But no. We only got this little moment, only this little moment. The worst part is the next time they actually get to see each other after the kiss, she backpedals and pretty much breaks up with him. So let me get this right. She loved the note. They kiss, and she even was upset that he seen Heather all natural, and she was gonna beat her up for it because she was a little jealous that, you know, he's seen another girl on the island. But then she changes her mind for no real reason. Okay. Now, granted, she did let him down gently, but I was mad that she let him down at all. We didn't even get one episode. Do you see what I mean? Literally no romance at all. We didn't even get to enjoy them being cute for one freaking episode. Not one. The gag is, they spent 2 more seasons together as friends. Harold still had feelings for her, and she was really sweet to him for the next 2 seasons. But it never developed into anything substantial, which sucks. I would have loved to see LeShawna have a little love story, even if their relationship started off as, low-key fetishization, because let's be honest, he did fetishize her, but it still led to a genuine relationship and friendship. Even if they didn't get together in season 1, it could have developed into season 2, since they spent a lot of time together in seasons 2 and seasons 3. They're on this list because they set up something cute and then immediately shut it down without any possibility of them dating. Even if she didn't date Harold, they could have given her another love interest. You're telling me Courtney, Gwen, and Duncan had like 2 whole love stories between 3 to 4 seasons. And you're telling me that Heather and Alejandro had only 2 seasons together, but they had a whole relationship. But LeShawna and Harold spent 3 whole seasons interacting closely, didn't develop any type of relationship. Not even a little confusion, like, oh, do we like each other? Do we not like each other? Really? Also, a bit of a side note, this has nothing to do with Harold and LeShawna, but why doesn't DJ have any love interest? You're telling me he's sweet, caring, loves animals, he can cook, and is a good competitor in the competition and tends to last pretty far, yet no one found him dateable. He is the most dateable bachelor on the show, yet he had not a single genuine love interest or even a really much of a crush. Yeah, that's completely unrealistic. I'm sorry. It is not lost on me how the show makes DJ and LeShawna, the 2 confirmed black people on the show, go 3 straight seasons in a row without any love storylines. Even Beth got a whole storyline with her not fake boyfriend. Izzy has a love story. Heather, of all people, gets a love story. Every major player in Total Drama who's usually been there between like 2, 3, 4 seasons usually has had some type of romantic interaction, failed or successful. But DJ and LeShawna don't. Over 60 episodes they've been on there, yet they're undateable, apparently. Whatever. It's just irritating to think about. I guess the only merit I can give the show in this aspect is that they didn't force the only 2 black people together. So no, Harold and LeShawna barely gave me anything to root for. I'm glad that Harold has been loyal to her from season 1, but I would have preferred him being a loyal boyfriend and not just a friend. Even if their love wouldn't have lasted long, I still would have preferred for them to be an actual relationship and not just a one kiss type of situation. Especially since she ran and kissed him, yet she's the one who rejected. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. This ship ended way too soon, and it barely gave us something to hold on to. If I can't make a montage of subtle flirting between them, then it's not a good ship. And I don't mean just like cute little friend moments. I mean actual subtle flirting. Courtney and Scott got a longer relationship than those 2. Courtney and Scott only dated for like a couple episodes before he broke up with her. But still, that has more content and more shipping potential than LESHAWNA and Harold. Ugh. Either let them be together or give LESHAWNA and even Harold someone else to dote on. Basically, keep it to yourself or let us have it, but don't dangle it in front of our faces. That is so much more disrespectful. Like I said, I love them both together. They both deserve a better love story than that. They have so much potential, but it was wasted. Honestly, I feel robbed of a potentially cute couple. Like, have you seen the fan art? Have you seen the fan art? Disappointed, sad, awful. Okay, I'll stop because we gotta move on. Speaking of deserving better, my poor Gwen. Now, you might be wondering which of her two relationships am I referring to as the bad relationship that didn't reach its potential. Well, I'm actually putting both of these men on this list. Now, let me explain before anybody freaks out. I love Gwen and Trent together in season 1. Season 1 of their love story was perfection. However, season 2 is where I feel like their relationship went from cute to train wreck. Not only did it make Trent unbearable and annoying, but it cut their relationship off in such a weird way. Not only did Gwen get blamed for Trent's cheating and had to pay for it, but also the other contestants were upset that she had the nerve to break up with him. The gaslighting. He was acting erratic and he was cheating in a competition for her. Honestly, I'd dump him too. Also, Gwen was too nice after season 1. She lost all of her spunk and started caring way too much about what the other contestants thought of her. Even if my boyfriend cheated for me, I would not feel obligated to make it up to the other team. Not one bit. I'd say sorry and that's it. I wouldn't throw challenges like Gwen was doing, and I wouldn't be sucking up to Beth of all people. Beth? Get out of here. Trent didn't even really feel that sorry for Gwen having to pay for his cheating. He just said his little sad little sob story about the stupid 9 wheels on the train and moved along. So let's review this. He was jealous that she was spending time with Duncan, who was her friend at the time. Even though I understand because they had chemistry, but at the time, that was just her friend, and he was really on to Courtney in season 2. So in reaction, Trent started to throw challenges because he wanted her to win, and then he wanted to brand himself with the letter G for Gwen, and then he started obsessing over her, then obsessing with the letter 9. I mean, I said letter 9, I'm dumb as hell. The number 9, even though I guess that was Duncan's fault, I believe, but still, he was obsessing and it was creepy. He got creepy. That's just the end of it. Trent got creepy. It was understandable why they broke up. However, Gwen is made to look like the bad guy for even getting freaked out over all this foolishness. Trent was awful in season 2, and the cast was against Gwen for this, putting her in a bad position. Either way, the reason this couple is on the list is because they completely destroyed Trent's character. I love Trent in season 1, and I can't stand his ass in season 2. It's pretty clear this happened specifically to make room for Gwen and Duncan to get together in season 3. They didn't even bring Trent back at all for any future seasons to redeem himself. So this once great relationship ended on a sour note for us and for them. Speaking of ending things on a sour note, I can't forget about Duncan. Yeah, Duncan and Gwen. This ship was so strong, you just had to be there. You just had to be there. It had all the bones to make it work. Not only did they have so much chemistry in the past season 1 and season 2, but people were rooting for it. And we even destroyed Trent's character to get this ship. Not to mention, this couple brought the most impeccable drama to season 3. A cheating scandal? That's honestly the best kind of scandal. Even though I did feel bad for Courtney Her and Duncan was not built to last. I admit, I do love Courtney and Duncan better than Gwen and Duncan, but that's what happens when you spend 3 seasons with one couple and only 1.5 with the other. However, I knew that Courtney and Duncan's relationship was not built to last. She wanted Duncan to change, and he was unwilling to change. Regardless, it ended with the juiciest drama and rivalry we've seen on the show for like ever. There has not been a juicier drama or a deeper rivalry than the love triangle between Gwen, Duncan, and Courtney. But this isn't about the amazing drama and fun that came with the triangle love affair. This is about specifically Duncan and Gwen. Gwen and Duncan's relationship started with drama. So much drama that they couldn't enjoy their time as a new couple. We as the audience could not enjoy time with them as a new couple. Of course, we've seen little snippets of them making out between seasons 3 and 5, but as far as screen time, we didn't get to really enjoy them being cute. A lot of their relationship on screen revolved around Courtney and how she felt about it, which we already covered in season 3. So I didn't understand why in season 5 that was the whole problem. They didn't care in season 3, but in season 5 apparently both of them care so much about Courtney, especially Gwen. Girl, if you cared about Courtney, you wouldn't have done this in the first place. But that's not. But I digress. My issue isn't in season 3. Even though their time was short on season 3, they still had some really cute moments that's been building for 3 seasons. That was 3 seasons of tension that we felt in season 3. It was great. My problem with Gwen and Duncan is in season 5. They were cute at first, but again, their relationship revolved around Courtney. Not only did Duncan become obsessed with Courtney again for some reason, even if he didn't care before, now he cares now again, but Gwen became obsessed with becoming Courtney's friend again. Even though he's been dating Gwen for a while now at this point in the series, he had no regrets in season 3 about what he did, but suddenly he wants Courtney's attention again in season 5 when he didn't even care that she knew in season 3. The math ain't mathin'. My problem is that they both were so focused on Courtney that they almost had no room to be their own standalone couple. All the chemistry that Gwen and Duncan had disappeared this season. Hell, Courtney and Gwen had better chemistry with each other in season 5 than Duncan and Gwen. I couldn't wait for them to break up. We had small, cute moments with them together in season 5, small, but it was immediately ruined by Courtney glaring or them caring that Courtney was glaring. Be evil. Please stop caring what she thinks. Be evil and rub it in her face a little bit. Like, stop with all the guilty. Guilt isn't fun. I just wish that they had their space to be themselves as a couple without Courtney being so involved in every step of the way, looming over their shoulder, glaring at them. They even broke up in season 5 specifically because Duncan was obsessing over Courtney. Even though it wasn't just Duncan obsessing over Courtney, which he was, Gwen was also obsessing over Courtney. She was obsessing with being her friend again. It was so annoying. Their breakup was so annoying because their breakup was specifically about Courtney. Like, really? It was so anticlimactic. I understand having a storyline where Courtney hates them. It's like, because honestly, it makes sense. But didn't we do that in season 3 when Gwen left and Courtney was actively hating Duncan the whole time? We don't have to repeat this in season 5 where she hates them. Of course, she can still hate them, but did it have to be the whole story? We had no time for them as a couple by themselves. We've had 3 whole seasons of couple time with Courtney and Duncan, compared to a barely season and a half with Gwen and Duncan. We didn't have enough time with their relationship. It was a major waste of potential. All that drama in season 3 just for the relationship to end so suddenly didn't sit right with me. Both of Gwen's relationships were ended so poorly, neither one of their relationships felt like a natural end to things. I also think season 5 having such a short season had a bad effect on their relationship pacing. It forced the writers to rush things between them instead of enjoying them as a couple and getting that slow burn 20 episodes relationships that we're so used to in seasons 1, 2, and 3. In general, I think the shorter 13 episode seasons hurts total drama more than it helps. There's no real time to develop long-term relationships like there was in the first 3 seasons where there were 20 episode seasons versus the 13. My point is both of Gwen's relationships had potential to be so great, but both were messed up by sloppy writing. Gwen and Duncan were so cute when they were just friends. Honestly, both of their characters were at their best when they were a little meaner and didn't care about other people's opinion, aka season 1. The moment they were obsessing over Courtney's feelings and kissing her butt in season 5 is where their relationship became unsavable. Gwen and Trent were so cute in season 1. However, their relationship came to a fast end over some very weird circumstances that didn't feel natural to either one of their characters. It seems that when Gwen gets into these relationships, the writers suddenly forget why those two are together in the first place and make both of those characters unbelievably awkward. So awkward, it makes you wish they never started dating in the first place. The writers killed their own ships and it's really annoying. Honestly, poor Gwen. Now this one is an honorable mention because they aren't an official couple, but I feel like they deserve to be on this list. I am talking about Sky and Dave. Now I know that they weren't an official couple, but if you're going to make me sit through 13 episodes of their BS, then I can include them on my list on my channel. First off, I wasn't a fan of Sky because she was too similar to Zoe. She didn't stand out personality-wise. The only reason she made it to the finals is so the writers could finish off her and Dave's story arc and do a really dramatic finale. I personally don't think she should have made it to the finale. Truthfully, Jasmine should have made it to the finale. She was a much better player in the game than Sky and has a more interesting personality that you want to root for in the finale. It seems that at a point they were more so making the finales to be crazier and crazier as seasons went on instead of making finales against two characters that you want to see face off. Anyway, I don't think that Sky should have made it to the finale. Plus, a Jasmine/Sean face-off would have been fun to watch. But since they did a Mike and Zoe finale the season before, they probably wanted to change it up and not have another couples fighting finale. But whatever. Honestly, Jasmine and Sean, side note, were the reason that I could even watch that season at all. I honestly disliked the majority of the cast, except for maybe Ella. Jasmine and Sean were diamonds in the rough. They were amazing in an awful season. But I'll talk about those two in a different video because speaking on those two gets me distracted. Like I said, Sky was too much like Zoe in personality type. They were both athletic, a little too athletic, good-natured team players. They both have similar design and body type, and they both kind of had can-do attitude in a way, even though there is some differences, of course. Obviously, there's going to be some differences, like, you know, Sky being hyper competitive and Zoe was more of a people pleaser. But either way, they both were a little too similar to be back to back, and they both lasted really long in their seasons. And I feel like since we had such a Zoe fatigue in season 5, that having Sky in this season was kind of irritating. Sky's character was weighed down because Zoe existed so much. Like, Zoe was so in our face that Sky was just, there was just no room for a lot of people to like Sky because of the Zoe influence. Especially since in both of their story arcs, they were battling between having feelings for a boy while being in the competition and having to focus on the competition. I didn't hate Sky, but I didn't like her either. She wasn't that memorable and didn't stick out to me. And some people say it's because she was in the wrong season, but I don't think I agree, because like I said, I love Sean and I love Jasmine, and they were in the season too. So it wasn't just the fact that she was in a bad season. I just think that coming after Zoe, her character was just played out. After 2 seasons of Zoe being an OP main character, Sky's character just felt so done. At least Zoe and Mike, though, were interesting to watch for the 2 seasons that they were together. Sky and Dave were just an annoying train wreck that we were stuck with for 13 episodes, but honestly, it felt so much longer. Speaking of Dave, I strongly dislike this man. People say he went crazy in the finale, but obviously they weren't paying attention. That boy was crazy from the moment he set eyes on Sky. Unlike most people who develop cute little crushes, he went straight from crush to obsession in a few episodes. He almost felt entitled to Sky's attention. Granted, she did string him along a little bit. However, when she did try to reject him or stop any type of romance that was building, he refused to even hear it. He refused any and all signs of rejection from her. Even if she did try to reject him multiple times, very clearly, he pretty much put his little fingers in his ears and ignored her. He would not take no for an answer. Dave was whiny, entitled, delusional, annoying, and a jerk to most of the cast. He looked down on most of the other contestants. You can't be a whiny little jerk and at the same time look down on other people. Pick a struggle. Not to mention, he rarely ever focused on the competition itself, especially whenever Sky was around. Almost everything he did and said revolved around his crush on Sky, and it was really annoying. He didn't really have a character outside of liking Sky. He's the definition of a so-called nice guy. Not to mention, when he gets nervous, he says the most out-of-pocket, misogynistic crap since Ezekiel. I'm sorry, but when she yelled at him and said they'd never be a couple, I did not feel bad for him at all. An obsessed person like him needed to hear those words, those harsh words clearly. He just kept pushing and pushing and pushing and became unbearable. The only thing I think Sky should be held accountable for is for not disclosing she had a boyfriend sooner when she was obviously crushing on Dave. She was intending on breaking up with her boyfriend, but still she should have said something, even if she didn't think that that was a factor anymore, because she didn't really plan on still being with him when she got there. Also, like I said, she did use his emotions sometime to her advantage, especially in the finale. However, I can't personally fault her too much for using Dave because he was available, very available to help her. And at the end of the day, it is a competition for $1 million. It might not be the best thing to do morally, but like I said, this is a competition for $1 million. And she's always been very competitive. She said from day one that she is there to win and not to meet boys. Even though I do feel like she should have mentioned her boyfriend, and I don't think that she probably should have used his emotions to her advantage. She did tell him that she didn't want to date him like 10 different times in 10 different ways. He refused to hear it. So at that point, whatever happened to Dave was his own fault, because if he would have just listened and got his heart broken earlier, he wouldn't have to be crying in the finale. Cody at least backed off of Gwen when he knew he didn't have a chance, and even helped set her up with Trent. Cody never really held a grudge for Gwen not liking him back. He respected her feelings and didn't push for a relationship when he knew that it wouldn't happen. Dave, however, felt like he was entitled to a relationship because they had a few little cute flirting moments. This is a reason that I'm not a fan of the 13 episode seasons. Dave and Sky wouldn't have made it so far in the competition if they didn't have to fit their entire relationship in 13 episodes. Their relationship was the main backbone in season 6, and since it was a main backbone, it made the season awful. If this season was 26 episodes, they both probably would have gone to the midway point before being eliminated. Neither one of them would have made it to the finale, in my opinion. Dave's personality wasn't the problem for me specifically, because I liked elements of his personality, you know, the germaphobe thing, you know, him being sarcastic. There were elements, characteristics of Dave that I liked. I think that his overall character outside of Sky was fine. However, his non-relationship with Sky made him feel like nails on a chalkboard because it took over most of the season. Honestly, I don't blame Sky for yelling at him, because I know personally I would have said much worse to his dingy ass. She was still nicer than I would have been. Also, a thing I wanted to add about Sky and this whole boyfriend twist is that it came out of nowhere. The whole season, she never mentioned or even really hinted at having a boyfriend. Even in the confessionals, there was no indication that there was someone waiting for her at home. Sky doesn't feel like a type of character to be cheating or actively playing with a guy's feelings. Even when she was trying to reject Dave, she was trying to do it nicely. So I don't think that she's the type to hop on television and openly cheat on a guy who's watching everything air back home. I personally feel like the whole boyfriend thing was added at the very last minute by the writers. It didn't feel like the writers planned on her having an at-home boyfriend in the beginning when they were first writing her. Honestly, I think adding that she had a boyfriend last minute was an attempt to try to make her look bad and to make Dave seem more justified in his actions. Because if they didn't add that little bit of information that she had a boyfriend in there, Dave would have looked even more insane than he already did in the finale. Her openly flirting on TV with another guy just feels so out of character if she ever had a boyfriend. She never even seemed guilty for liking Dave, even though she had a boyfriend. She feels guilty for even playing dirty in the competition, and she makes a point trying to be sportsmanlike and fair, even though she didn't really act all sportsmanlike when she threw a whole fit. But her character is very much in the good girl range, where she will follow rules. I feel like the whole reason she even threw that temper tantrum at the end when she lost is because Chris broke the rules, and him breaking the rules is how she lost. So the whole basis of her character is pretty much off of rules. So I don't think that she will break such an egregious rule like don't cheat. So that's why I don't really believe the writers even planned or was even sure about her having a boyfriend until pretty much the last minute. I feel like they added that solely for drama, regardless of how her character is. Also, the kiss to motivate him made things so much worse for her character than it needed to be. Now she full on cheated, which again, doesn't seem like something a bland character like her would do. Two of her more egregious actions only came in the finale, while Dave was consistently bad for 13 episodes. So you know what I mean? It feels like that was added at the end just to throw a wrench in the situation and make it not so black and white as it would have been if those two things were never added. And even so, I still think Dave is 10 times more in the wrong than she is. He is creepy, obsessive, and would have been the type to end up on ID. I get feeling hurt, but I don't think that her doing that warranted his reaction. He went full on revenge mode. He literally wanted to hurt her in the worst way possible, hurting her physically and burning the money in front of her. He wanted to be a full on villain. Cody would never. He would never do that to Gwen. How could you feel betrayed by a girl who never said she was going to date you in the first place? A woman who was never your girlfriend, a woman you've never kissed, a girl that's never even told you that she wanted to have any relationship with you. You just assumed. Flirting isn't consent. Let me say that again. Flirting isn't consent. Even if she was single, who would date such a whiny crybaby? There was nothing they could have done to make me root for him at the end. His character wasn't even all that unrealistic. There are some so-called nice guys who can't handle rejection in any form. I don't think the writers intended on him being so disliked. I genuinely think that they thought people would sympathize with him more. Thankfully, people have some common sense. He is literally Sierra 2.0. Dave is like if Sierra turned on Cody. I just wish they would have either leaned into his obsessive side or dialed it back by a lot. It's so hard to feel bad for him when he's the one who set his own self up for failure. He wanted a relationship so bad that he didn't care if she wanted to be in it with him or not. Even when she loudly rejected him in front of everybody, he was still trying to win her over. Even at the end, when he hated Sky, he was still obsessed with her. The only difference was instead of wanting to be with her and wanting to win her over, he was obsessed with destroying her. He swung so far to the other end of the spectrum so quickly, from love to hate. I guess it's a thin line between love and hate, so, Dave found that out. Truthfully, I'm glad that they left him on that goddamn island. He is not safe to bring to the real world. The reason this couple was such a failure is because this relationship brought down both of their characters so much and honestly brought down the entire season. Jasmine and Sean were a good couple because they had interests outside of their own relationship. Both were still focused on the competition, but they still liked each other, It was a good balance. With Sky and Dave, their relationship took 90% of both of their screen time. I was so sick of both of them, to be honest. We couldn't go one episode without the writers making it about them in some way, shape, or form. We didn't really get to know some of the other characters as much as we would have because these two took up so much screen time. And maybe if some of the other characters would have got more screen time, they would have found a way to be more likable. The worst part about the relationship taking up so much screen time is that it didn't pay off at all. It wasn't satisfying or had a satisfying conclusion to their arc. We spent all that time watching them fawn over each other just to end with that. Their romance wasn't even cute either. It was lackluster at best. I love a good lovers to enemy stories, but this one was no fun to watch. I would have liked it way better if it was more one-sided or if the relationship didn't last for so long. It made the show even harder to sit through. To me, this season was the weakest so far, and these two played the biggest part in it. Honestly, their relationship should have been cut down to make room for more interesting characters. I think we could have made room for at least one more couple or give Jasmine and Sean that screen time because they deserved it. Even if it was going to end that badly, at least make it worth my god dang time. They just played in my face and wasted my brain cells. I am not saying that they should have gotten together at all. That would have been worse. However, I just wish they didn't take up the whole season just to end it with her having a boyfriend and him going off the deep end. The destruction of this couple comes from how poorly written both of them are. It feels like they've written these characters just for the romantic plot line, and they didn't write these characters as individuals. I can't even talk about them separately as characters because I wouldn't have much to say. Outside of each other, there's barely anything there at all. If Dave tried harder or even acted like he wanted to be in the competition to win, he could have been more likable. If Dave wasn't always focused on the girl who barely had any conversations with him, he'd be more likable. They actually added personality and more uniqueness to Sky, she'd be better. If they didn't make Sky's character so contradictory to the choices she made, she would have been better. If their relationship wasn't such a big plot point in this season, so big that I don't even think there was even another overarching plot line besides their relationship and even Jasmine and Sean's relationship. Outside of those two things, there really wasn't an overarching plot like in the other seasons, then the whole season would have been better. Truthfully, Dave could have gotten rejected one time earlier and just turned into a villain for the rest of the series. That would have been more fun. I wish that the first time she rejected him, he would have heard her, and that would have just turned him into a complete villain. That would be fun to watch. Crush to enemies? Love it. If that would have happened, Dave would have been a new type of villain. He would be an obsessive, pathetic, vengeful villain. That could have worked. His villainy act at the end was at least kind of entertaining. I truly think that if he would have been a villain way earlier in the series, he could have worked. Lord knows this season needed better than Sugar as a villain. He already hated most of everyone, so why not? I actually liked his descent into madness and how bad his life was getting. They just handled everything so badly. They were too busy trying to get sympathy from the audience for Dave when they could have just made him into a charismatic, love-scorned villain. That would have worked so much better than what actually ended up happening. I actually liked how they turned into an anti-couple in a way. However, it just wasn't handled right. It had all the potential, but bad writing got in the way of a really good anti-love story. Thankfully, my girl Ella dodged a whole bullet train with this man. The gods protected that pure angel, that pure singing angel. This whole couple is just wasted potential and wasted time. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. The only thing left to say is Jasmine and Sean carried that entire season on their backs. And you can fight me on that because those two were literally the only reason that I was able to finish that freaking season. I love Sean and I love Jasmine. Everyone else sucked. Wasted. I hate it. Oh my god, I can't even. Argue with your mama, not me. The tall queen, short king combination is what dreams are made of, and that's all I have to say about that. Truthfully, most of the breakups in Total Drama don't really make sense. It seems like they can start relationships and do the whole flirting phase really well, except for LESHAWNA and Harold apparently, but they have no idea how to end them. Maybe LESHAWNA and Harold not getting together is a good thing because the writers probably would have ruined their relationship to all hell. I like most of the characters on this list, but I feel like all of their relationships were just handled so poorly. I love Total Drama and I can't wait for the new season. I am optimistic, but it is 13 episodes, so I am so weary. Hopefully they can learn from their past mistakes so that they can make some more iconic couples and moments in the future. I definitely want to make a video on the couples that do work on Total Drama Island, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, what do you think? Do you have a couple that you don't think worked well? Tell me if you did. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!